Hi. Here we are. Some more people are coming in. And we are for our new Kalo Cafe meeting after a small break that we had for a few months. Here we are again. Today we have a special guest, as all our guests, but today they say our guest that was been waiting. But before we go to our guest, I explain a bit what is the Kalo Cafe for those that still are getting familiar with it. So as we say here, is a Kalo student monthly meeting, and with the aim to bring people that are at the moment at school, that are former student, to share their project experience and knowledge, to keep this family together, to cultivate this connection that we have here at Kalo. The vision is, in the long run, to create a network between those people that are here now, but the people that may be left, and they're around the world, starting to put seeds in their area where they are. Usually we do this Kelo Cafe once a month. We try to do the first Tuesday of each month, but it's an alive ecosystem, so it might change as it happened this time. It's online, and the aim to do it online is because we want to record this and have it for in the future, maybe someone to want to have some information about it, so he can find out online. And most of it as well, because sometime it's not possible to be present for someone, like a few people asked today, so they can see it later on during the day or during the week. Usually it's an hour and a half, but now we're a bit more open, because last time we had a pretty interesting conversation and people want to stay more. So let's say it's an hour and a half to start with, and then we see. And we do from 7 to 8:30 in a live way. Who is invited? For who is this meeting? Current student that at the school at the moment, so maybe they're not really, they don't have that much time to come online because we already so many activities at school. So maybe they will watch it later, or maybe not. But there is many old students that they finish school, they see that something has changed at the school, or some information that a student that left school, and they would love to be informed, or as well share some of their knowledge. And curious people, can be a friend, can be people that someone that heard about Kalo, and maybe the Kalo Cafe could be the first integration of what is the school about and who are these people that goes to this school. So let's say it's a really open to everyone. We try to build bridges, not to build walls. How much it costs? It's completely free. We have the only really cost that we have that so far is completely offered from the Student Association of Kalo. That is the Zoom account. So if anyone want to share and offer a coffee, more than welcome. But the event is completely free. The idea is to build let's say the value of this movement, or this Kalo Cafe, is to create this community, and is the energy that we need. How does it work, the meeting? We have a small, I open the room usually 15 minutes before. We have a small open circle to see where we are coming from. Then we presented the Kalo Cafe, like we do now. And then we give the word to the guest of the night, or the topic of the night, like we did some knowledge night. Then we can have some, I just disattive the audio, Sabine. Then we can have a question during the presentation, like I talked with Julie before, she liked to have in this case, or it can be at the end. And the aim of the Kalo Cafe, beside the topic of the day or the guest of the day, is to cultivate this connection. So at the end, the people that are present, we divide in rooms, it depends how many we are, or we send the main rooms here, and we share a bit where we are from, if we have anything that we want to ask, and maybe, that will be amazing, if we have any ideas of something that we would love to have as the next Kalo Cafe. So we can get some input for how to make the next one. And what we do usually, the idea is once we finish, we get this information, and we try to move to a Telegram account. Why? Because it's easier to keep, let's say, disconnected from some other social channel, and to inform there in a not let's say, selling way. It's more just to have there the information, and we can get there as well the links for the meeting, for the recording that we do. We have a YouTube account. We have a Spotify account for only the audio. So let's say we are trying to be, how you say, growing up. At the moment, we are starting, but let's see where this Kalo Cafe can get. And now, with a lot of pleasure, I'll give the word to our guest of the day. That, I don't know, I think most of you are really curious to know more about. That is our Julie, our headmaster since August. Hello, Julie.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you for being here. We know that you're doing so many things already, so to find the time to be here, really thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And before giving you the word, and starting, of course, all of us for sure, we are curious about, okay, what is happening in Kalo, where we want to go, where we're going to be when we come back there.
Yeah.
I would love to know a bit of your past.
Yeah.
With Julie.
Yeah, sure. I have something in my presentation about that also.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So all yours. And if for you is okay, people, please, guys, if you have any question, you can lift up your hand or you can write in the chat, and I will stop Julie and ask the question if you don't feel to do by yourself.
Yes, please feel free to ask questions while I talk, so it's not just me for the next hour.
Please.
Yeah.
All yours.
So I'm just gonna share.
Yes.
Does this look right?
Yes, you need, it's still separate. You need to press like before to be.
So I need to switch them again. How did I do that before? I did like this. No, that didn't make.
No, now we see
better,
Zoom.
Right?
Yeah. And for the people present, please ask questions, because it's the idea to do live. Because in a way we just do with the, only with Julie. So the idea is this: people can stop and ask more questions, and be involved as well of what what we are sharing. Let's see.
Maybe like this. Try and do it like this.
Let's see.
See?
And,
how do I find
now it's black. Let's see
here?
if it's
now it's black. Okay.
No, now it's black. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you can leave it like before, eh? If you.
Well, we made it work before, right?
Yeah. This is the beauty of Be Live, you know. And yeah. This is as well the idea, no, to create something like, not to, this way Kalo Cafe, no. Whilst we drink a coffee, or someone might drink something more fizzy, or a bit less.
How's it now?
Now I see just your system. I don't see any sharing. Maybe you need to close the. Maybe.
How did we make it work before?
You need to close this page.
Yeah.
Or stop the condivision maybe, and you can do again.
I'll try and use just maybe only one screen.
Okay.
Let's try and do like this and see.
Actually, we're pretty seeing. Yeah. If you do a bigger one, yeah. If you
do like this. What do you see now?
I see the peaks.
You see the pig, but not the system behind it, right?
No.
All right, that's good.
Yes. Okay. Now, here we are. All yours.
Thank you. So I have two disclosures. So one of them is, if I look a bit tired, it's because it's my bedtime, because I have all of those small children. So I'm actually like a 5-year-old myself. But I'll try to master the energy to stay up until 8:30, which is really late for me. And the other is, if you hear something from next door, I'm pretty sure it's Louise who sneaked in to teach some more.
Yes.
Like she doesn't get enough during the day, so.
We love it.
All right. You can hear her at the board. Yeah, that's good. All right. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. I know that a lot have been curious as to what is happening at Kalo, and I really want to share my my perception of what Kalo is and should be, and what direction we are going. And I actually have like a long presentation, but that's because, okay, so you'll see, but I'll try and make it as fast as possible. So about me, I'm 42. I am married to Per, who works in the farm now and is responsible for sheep. And we have 2 children. We have Tyra, who's 5, and we have Eigil, who's 1. And I am, you know, I'm like very stereotypical, I found out, because I like all the things I'm supposed to like. So I like making sourdough bread and kombucha and knitting and gardening, and I really love growing flowers. And I'm still not quite sure if that's something you can like admit at a farming school, or if that's if it's cool to grow flowers now, or if it's still like a little bit something I should keep quiet with. But I really love to grow flowers, most of all, I think. Yeah, so I really love farming. I do. I want to start by talking about this study that has been really on my mind for the past few weeks. It was done 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, and it was about animal welfare. It was about how farming students perceive animal welfare. And what the study found was that when people start at farming school, they have one perception of what animal welfare is, and it's typically the same perception as everyone else has about what animal welfare is. And that consists of 6 different things. And the first is absence of pain. And then we have absence of sickness. We have absence of death. And then we have 3 more. We have the ability to behave naturally. And there is autonomy, that the animal is able to have some sort of power over what it does. So the power to decide for themselves. And then the last one is that it is connected to ethics, the way that we treat animals, that it's really shows our ethics as human beings. And what this study found was that in the time that you spent in farming school, those different aspects of our perception of animal welfare decreases. The number of aspects decrease. So they fall away. And during the course of this education, they fall away in a sense that in the end, we only have the first 3 left. So when you finish farming school, your perception of what animal welfare is that it is absence of pain, absence of sickness, and absence of death. And I thought that study was just mind-blowing, really, really mind-blowing. And what I think the reason I've been thinking a lot about that study for the past weeks is that I'm really afraid that what we are doing is not just, this was not a study of Kalo, it was a study of in general what happens at an agricultural school. But I think this is not limited only to animal welfare. I'm really worried that it is also about a lot of other things. Like if it also affects the way we think of quality of life for a farmer. So we go to farming school, we are all happy, we are looking forward to this wonderful life that we're going to have, growing things and touching soil and being around animals. And during the course of our education or the course of our life, we like that perception changes in some way. Maybe also regarding climate urgency and biodiversity. I know a lot of our students come here because they really, really, really want to do something very important. They want to mitigate the climate crisis, biodiversity crisis. And in a sense, I'm worried that what happens when you face realities and become a farmer and go out into the real world, you don't have the same fire for those things. We kind of desensitize through this education. Social responsibility also. Have a dream of what you're going to do and what you're going to do for your local area when you finish farming school, and maybe that also it dulls somehow in those years. It's just what I wanted to start with that, because I'm thinking so much about it, and I don't have a very good answer to it, but I think it's a very important thing. And I think one of the things that scares me the most is if I somehow contribute to desensitizing those very, very important feelings. Because I think right now we are in a place where farming is changing so much. We are finally in a place where we can say, okay, most of us actually agree that farming today is not sustainable. It's not done in the way that we need it to be done. Something needs to change. And right now we have like the opportunity to affect, okay, so where are we going with farming? What do we do from here? We're going to make a brand new systems, but how should they be? And in that sense, I don't think it makes sense to desensitize agricultural students to do as everyone else does, because we really don't need more of the same. We need all of those new ideas. Yeah, so that's my thoughts right now on that. So what I want to talk about today is first a little bit about me. I was told to tell you a little bit about me. I want to do that. Then I really like to talk about the challenges of organic agriculture, and sometimes I feel like I'm like betraying the organic community, but I feel like it's very important that we talk about these challenges, because we do have challenges and we do need to make organic better. And as long as we don't talk about it, I think it's going to be very hard to do something about. I want to talk briefly about trees, because I love trees, and then I want to talk about the future. So I was an architect. I was an architect student 14 years ago in Aarhus, because my sister is an architect. And I thought, okay, so maybe I should be an architect also. And it was okay. A lot of people talking about aesthetics and buildings, and then one day, I came to Kalo. There was like the spring market in 2012 or 13, I think. And I came here and I fell completely head over heels in love. Of course with Kalo, because Kalo is wonderful, but I think most of all, I just fell in love with the people, because Kalo was full of people who were talking about how to make the world a better place, and how to help each other do good things, and how to make everything better, how to make more nature, and how to take care of each other, and how to make sustainable living systems. And I thought that was just miles ahead of what I was used to in this little hub that I had in Aarhus. And this made so much sense that I had to stop being an architect. I was so close to having a bachelor in architecture, but there was nothing to do. I had to go here and had to be a part of Kalo. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. So I was here for a basic course. And then I took an apprenticeship at an organic goat milking farm, where we also made cheese. So there's like this Dutch couple who owned it, and they taught me how to be around goats, and they had like a wonderful like view of animal welfare. And we talked a lot about how does the goat feel when we approach it in this way, and how does it feel when we approach it in this way? Do you think the farmer used to ask me, like, do you feel that we are being respectful enough to the animal when we do this? And then we had a long discussion of what is actually organic, and what is actually animal welfare. And I became so mesmerized of this. I don't think I ever thought about it before this. I just thought, well, there is conventional farming, and then there's organic farming, and organic is good and conventional is bad, and that's it. So I want to be an organic farmer. And I never thought about these degrees of organic, and these degrees of like the holistic approach to farming systems. And I think while being there, because we had so many discussions of how do we do this right, like ethically right, I became obsessed with like the organic principles versus the organic rules, and how should we develop organic agriculture. And so I really wanted to work with that. And so I changed direction again. I think I would have done almost anything to go back to Kalo, but I knew I had to pursue this like meaning of life for me. I was very like fixated on I have to work with this. So I changed directions again. Oh, now I want to talk about the organic principles. All right. Do I? Oh yeah. Yeah, let's talk about those. Yeah. So that's what really caught my attention, is the organic principles. And I became like very fixated on this. The organic principles really contains all of the things that we need to do. Like we need to follow the organic principles. And then comparing the principles to like the rules of organic agriculture in Denmark that are so much looser. And at that point, we were talking a lot about evergreen organic farmers and not evergreen organic farmers. And like the evergreen organic farmers were the ones who were like feeling the organic principles in their soul and farming organically. And the others were the farmers who had changed into organic agriculture because it was profitable at the time. And they say, oh, it's kind of a good idea. But we had like the idea that maybe they never really read the organic principles. They just bought into the organic rules. And I think I always felt like the more the merrier, because we really just need more organic farmers and we need more organic land. But I think just speaking about the organic principles and working more with them and like workshopping around them, finding out how can they actually help us in the direction that we want to go. That just really makes sense to me. And so I started really looking into so do we actually do what we say we want to do in the organic principles when we do organic farming? And what I really felt was that maybe we don't really. Some of it we do, but like the principle of health is that we should like treat the soil and the plants and the animals and the planet as one and indivisible, and everything should be better. And I was really like, maybe we don't live up to that. That is like the ultimate goal is to reach the organic principles, but we're not really talking about that in public. In public, we are just saying organic is better. We don't really say that actually, because we don't want to talk conventional down. So we say maybe organic has 30% more biodiversity than conventional fields. So an organic field has 30% more biodiversity. But we don't really admit to ourselves or to anyone else that there is no biodiversity in a conventional field. So 30% more than nothing is still nothing. It's the stupidest argument. But we've been using it for years instead of like talking about, okay, how do we really, really make a difference in biodiversity in farming? You know the organic principles, so I'm not gonna, but I always bring them because I think they're so important to us. So of course we have the principle of health, we have the principle of ecology, we have the principle of fairness, which is also something that we don't really work with in organic agriculture because we don't really have it in the organic rules. Anything about the social responsibility that we have as farmers, and the principle of care. And so what I did was I took an AP graduate in agribusiness management and landscape management, and my specialty was environment and biodiversity. And at the same time, I applied for a job in organic Denmark because I wanted to work in a place where I could do developing agriculture at the same time as I could influence policy about agriculture. And that was like the place to do that. And so I was lucky to get a job as a student assistant in there. And then I just kind of held on. So I stayed there for a lot of years. I was first a student assistant, and then I was promoted to project coordinator when I finished my education. And then I became project manager. And I started using this environment and biodiversity, which is actually my education, into saying I really want to make biodiversity projects. And at that time, we didn't have a lot of those. And my supervisors were like, well, okay, you could, if you find the funding yourself, you can try out for a little project. That's okay. And so I did, and I applied for, I think, 100,000 kroners or something for my first tiny little biodiversity project. And I developed it from there into a lot of projects regarding biodiversity. But at that time, biodiversity, the things we were doing in organic agriculture were pretty much the same as they were doing in the conventional. And I had this feeling that it was just like putting small bandages on a totally broken big system. So because we still have these agricultural systems that are doing so much harm. And what we try to do to save the biodiversity is like make a flower strip or remind people to have some water somewhere. And it felt like so little and so insignificant, the things we were doing. So I really wanted to try and see if there was something that could be structurally different in agriculture. And I found the trees, which I also want to talk a little bit about. I found out that at that time, like in the mid 10s, like 16, 17, maybe 18, they were beginning to really develop agroforestry in France and in England and in Germany. And they were making these systems on fields that looks a lot like the Danish fields. So it's no longer just the historic like Montado and Dehesa and wood grazing. It was like regular intensive fields with trees. And I thought that was so interesting. If they could do it in those countries, perhaps we could do it in Denmark. So I started to apply for funding, first for tiny projects, just to travel around and see what are they doing? Can we do something like this? And in time, the projects grew, and we had like big research projects, like looking at how can we really affect biodiversity by planting trees on fields. So that became like my specialty. And in 2021, Organic Denmark, together with Landbrug and Fødevare, made this new innovation center for organic farming. And I was transferred there together with all my colleagues that were working with projects. And we made this big project, organic agricultural project center. And so I've been working there for a lot of years. Yeah. All right. So modern organic farming, that's so, yeah. I want to talk more about the challenges, I think. What I felt when I started looking at agroforestry was this regarding the environment. Okay, so maybe we do have like a head start there. We did have like a head start there. We have protecting groundwater, and we are protecting surface water from nutrients. Regarding climate, at that time, we really thought we were worse than the conventional. We had several studies that showed that organic agriculture was had a higher climate impact than conventional. In the later years, we have had like more this. We know more now, because now we have like life cycle analysis that goes further back. So now we also include maybe from fertilizers, from pesticides, what's been used there, from imported fodder. So now we have a more nuanced picture, which shows that agriculture and conventional are pretty much the same when you look at product, and a lot better when you look at like area, so per hectare. So it's better. And then biodiversity, I talked about 30%, which has also always been like my my pet peeve, because I worked in the same building as the marketing people who continued to talk about the 30% for years. And always every time they made a new campaign with 30%, I went up to their offices and said, please stop. Because every time they did that, I had like the professors from our university and other collaboration partners speaking to me and calling me and saying, what is this? This is stupid. And I knew it was stupid. And so what I really wanted is this structural change that we need for the biodiversity. We need space and we need resources. Resources is something we've really been talking a lot about in later years. So it's not, space is not enough. We also need all the other things that should be present for us to have biodiversity. Regarding climate, we need carbon sequestration, but we also need lower emissions. Regarding environment, we need protection. We need retention. But we also need a soil rebuild. We've been talking about this for the past very few years, I think, about regenerative agriculture, how we rebuild. And we also need, like, there's been this development into agriculture needing so little workforce that like huge farms can have one farmer who works there and maybe like hiring in someone to help him once in a while, but it makes these rural areas so empty, like no one's living there anymore. We need life quality. I thought it was very interesting. A few years ago, there was a study that showed that the higher the diversity on a farm, the higher the life quality of the farmer. And we didn't know that. We thought that if you can do something very well, you should just do that, more of the same. And it actually shows now that's really not, well, maybe it's the way to go in for some things, but not if you want to be happy. And this is the wrong way to go. Yeah, and life quality for animals also. So I think this regenerative movement is wonderful, and I really think of agroforestry also as part of the regenerative a regenerative system. And I think what's been happening, like just maybe in the past year or something, I think is just mind-blowing. This is like the craziest time to work with agriculture at all, because like a year ago there was Carlsberg saying, now we only want to buy regenerative produce or regenerative corn for our beer. And that was like, what? That was like the most insane. I've always felt like the hippie in the corner working with agroforestry, while all my colleagues were working on like real projects in like yield increase and like real adult things, and mine was just like this funny little area. But here comes these amazing regenerative people who actually, I think, like the education, the regenerative school in Zealand was built. I don't think it was built to spite Kalo, but somehow it was like Kalo was not enough. If they could have learned all that they wanted, all that they felt was necessary, they would have just gone to Kalo, and they felt like they couldn't get it here. So I think that is one of the reasons, and I feel it's just a wonderful thing, because that is what this generation is actually able to do, make some decisions and then just do it. And I'm talking with them. I've been talking with them also, and what I'm hearing is that they really want Kalo to be more regenerative. They really want us to be so regenerative that there is no longer a use for them. And I think that's just a wonderful thing. And we are also, lately we've been talking a lot about, okay, so regenerative or organic. And I don't think that makes sense, because if we return to like the regenerative movement made like these 5 principles, which are that farming must provide soil cover with continuous and species-rich greenery, that farming should disturb the soil as little as possible, that agriculture must support microbial soil life, that animals should be put to pasture, and that, oh my God, I can't see the last one. Oh yeah, I don't remember that one. Can I see it? It's built on circulation. Is that right? Can you see it?
The number.
Agriculture must be based on research.
Yeah, research. Okay. Yeah, and so so actually these 5 principles, I feel like these are more directions as what to do if you want to achieve the 4 organic principles. And so I think they fit perfectly together. I don't think there is like there is not really a difference between them. They say the same thing. So I think that's wonderful. I think that's absolutely wonderful. Oh, now I just have the Zoom meeting. I'm so sorry. All right.
We can see. Yeah.
You can see. Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay. So I became very fascinated with agroforestry. Of course, we've known about agroforestry for a lot of years. We have seen what it can do in a tropical climate, where it really increases food security and climate protection. So protection from climate events like a massive rain or droughts. But what we started to see in some other temperate countries is that it could actually improve biodiversity, and it could, of course, increase carbon sequestration quite a lot, of course, because trees do that. And what we also saw was that I remember one of the first studies I saw on the economy of agroforestry was a French study done by INRA, I think, which said that their agroforestry systems had a 36% higher economic output than non-agroforestry systems. And I thought, okay, so this is not just to make the world a better place. Of course, that is the most important output. But the problem with that, if that was the only thing that we would achieve, is that it would be so very difficult to get Danish farmers to do it because they are so hung up on their relationship with their bank. But if they actually can make more money out of making these systems, then we have a chance. So I started to find out what did we really have of systems in Europe, and did we have some systems in Denmark? And we had very few systems in Denmark that we could classify as agroforestry. So we were a member of the European Agroforestry Network, but in their like presentation of each countries, they just presented our hedges, our hedgerows, because in their sense they thought that the hedgerows were kind of agroforestry. To me, they are not, because they are not a part of the subsidies. And so in that sense, I wouldn't regard them. And most farmers don't use them, as you can see used in this picture, where we have, that's a farmer from the northern Jutland, who has a farm with a lot of hedgerows and a lot of forest, and he has opened everything up to his dairy cows. So they live like, they roam free on this big area in forests and fields and hedgerows. But what I thought was interesting is if we could do, like the top picture is from a farmer in England who has rented this peat soil for a lot of years around his farm, and it was just flying away. He was losing so much soil, and he thought that maybe the trees could help in some way. And the results he has gotten from making these rows of apple trees is just amazing. He's like this soil nerd, so he makes like analysis all the time, and his results are just amazing. The bottom right corner is from Wakelands, which is one of the oldest agroforestry systems that we have in temperate climate. It's also in England, and it's been established in the beginning of the 90s. That it's with rows that are very close together and very diverse, so it's very labor requiring. So there's a lot of people working here in harvesting. But lately they've also been making the system in a way that they call it enterprise stacking. And I think it's a way that we could maybe develop the rural areas into places where people live and work again, because they have the farmer, of course, and then the farmer didn't know that much about trees. So they take in another farmer who makes a business on top of the farm with the trees. And then they have another farmer who comes in and another person who comes in and is responsible for taking the apples and making cider. And we have another person who came in who was a baker and wanted to make a small bakery of the grains that are grown. And then they had so much life on this farm that they thought, okay, so maybe we could do like agrotourismo now. So they opened up, they make like small huts, and now it's like a flourishing little village. That was only just a small farm with one farmer. And I think that is a very inspiring way to go. So during my years of working with agroforestry in Denmark, we did a lot of research together with both Aarhus University and Copenhagen University, and we found that all of these effects on from the agroforestry systems, we could quickly see, okay, so this is really something. We could validate we could find results that showed that they were better, like in biodiversity, animal welfare, of course. Economy, not so much yet, because it takes time for the trees to grow big enough that we have something to sell from them. Environment, definitely. Climate also, and soil fertility. And climate security also. We had Aarhus University look at that 1 year in regards to how do we I don't know the word in English. How do we keep the water back when we have like long periods of drought, and then we have like just rainfall, everything falls within 1 hour. And the problem is this is going to happen more often as climate changes. And the problem is that the water runs off. If there's been a drought and then all of the water comes at once, it just runs off. So how do we keep it in the ground? How do we make the ground so it can be able to keep the water and share it with our crops? And we found that the trees are wonderful at doing that. So I was working with this and I was quite happy. I felt like we had like a lot of solutions as to where we could go with organic agriculture. But I also became a little frustrated because I was also always making these consortiums of project participants. So I was the project manager, and I usually had a lot of researchers on my projects, and I had like the innovation center, which was my employer. I had communications people, and I had maybe a company owner that could somehow make our findings into something that could work as a business. I had, of course, the grantor who gave us the funds to do the projects. And if I was lucky, I had an older farmer who was like in this place in life where he wanted to give something back. And I never ever had future farmers. I never ever had like young future farmers in those projects. And I came to like realizing that what I was a part of there was, I was sitting in my office thinking about how I thought organic agriculture should be, where it should go. And I never had anyone that was actually going to be an organic farmer in the future, like weighing in on the things that we were using so many funds, so much money to develop. And that made me a little frustrated. And so that's actually why I applied for the job at Kalo. I thought I had tried so many times to engage organic agricultural schools and students in my work. And I felt like I was just pulling and it was never happening. And so I thought, okay, so I'll apply for this job, and then I'll be on the other side and I can push instead of. Yeah.
Julie, before we start with the, let's say, the present or Kalo,
yeah,
do you want to drink some water? Why ask if someone has a question?
That's a good idea. Thank you.
Give you a small break. And anyone in the Zoom has maybe a question for Julie until now, for what she shared so far?
I have a question.
Please, Erasmus.
You talked about organic versus conventional agriculture.
Yeah.
That it was about the same climate-wise when you look at the product,
Yeah.
like per kilo of produced meat or vegetable,
Yeah.
but that organics were way better for per area.
Hectare. Yeah.
Where, what is that study, and why are we not then promoting organics way more?
Yeah. I think the first time I heard about it, it was from Marie Trudman, who is a senior scientist at Aarhus University. And she presented the results at, I'm thinking it was an Ecology Congress, I think, maybe. And I remember because we were sitting in this big auditorium and she showed us that finally we had the proof, and we were like, it felt amazing that they really did the study so detailed that we could actually see it now. So but I can find it for you. It should be in like a DCA report. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Rasmus. And I love to see this picture, as I know some of the faces inside there. So here we are at Kalo now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So I landed as headmaster of Kalo in August last year. So I've been here for, what is that, 9 months? Yeah. And I think very early after I arrived, I had like a talk with some of the students in Laden, and I felt like I had to say something about a little like this: where am I from? What do I want? What is my vision? And I also felt I said to them, of course you are here because you want to learn how to make food for people in a sustainable way. And I remember one of the students from basic course actually raised his hand, and he said that's not why he was at Kalo at all. He wanted to save the world, and he thought that organic agriculture would be a good tool to do that. And that totally blew my mind. And because it was a whole different approach. It was the other way around. It wasn't agriculture itself that was attracting students. It was the ambition of doing something that really makes a change. And I thought it was just mind-blowing. I thought I was ambitious, but that was much more ambitious than what I had expected. So the most wonderful thing about being at Kalo is still it's still the people, it's still the students that are the most wonderful thing. And I don't know if this is stupid, but I made a list of what I really like about you. Yeah. So when I read that you're not used to anything, I think that's wonderful, because working with old farmers, even though some are very ambitious and very still like dreams of doing good, there is also this purity that you have when you're not used to being a farmer. So you come in, a lot of you, not all of you, some of you have of course farmed before, but I really love this open approach to farming, as that is also represented by this view on animal welfare that I started talking about in the beginning. This total purity, as why don't we just make it very, very good? I really love that. There's a question. I can see it.
There is a question from Juan. You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. And actually, I wanna before share something that I come from the let's say kitchen catering world, and I remember when I studied McDonald's, that they say that they don't want people that have experience in food or restaurant and stuff like that, because they wanna build a different way of working in a restaurant. And I would share that most of us, we don't have experience, and I'm one of those person, no?
Yeah.
I feel in some way that it's much easier to put some new seeds,
Yeah.
but at the same time, it's nice because we are learning how how the system is working.
Yeah.
But I see that now there is the changing of how is how we can make it happen in a different way.
Yeah.
So I like to see how you explain it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I read the question from Juan.
Oh, yeah.
What is the school doing or planning to do reach that the goal of that goal? Okay, that goal of teaching in a more sustainable way. For instance, livestock wise, 90% of the teaching is about dairy cow or pigs. I understand that there are some requirements from the ministry, like the curriculum, in this regard. But I also believe more could be done, and I would like to know your thoughts on this matter. And I give you the word.
Yeah.
And I want to share, like, as a person that is here and left school last year in June.
Yeah.
And I love the question from Juan, that in 6 months, let's say since when I start, I really see a lot of changes in the school. And I remember when I started, I was basic course last year. Many people complain, like most of the basic course, that's when they come in. And what a really nice, and maybe later we can share more about this, the people that are present at our school now, that changes are already happening in these few months. So I leave you this, Julie, but I want to as well say for those that are not here at school, that you will not recognize the school for many part. And I leave all to you.
Thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad you said that. It's true that there are some limitations. I think when I started, I said that, oh, and then we could do this, and then we could do this, and then we could do this. And I ran into like doors of no, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. That because of the I can't really say it, curriculum. And so for a while, I was thinking a lot about if we could get like a free pass from the curriculum. So if we could like have like maybe just untie us and we'll make the most kick-ass agricultural school ever. And that would of course be fun, but I don't think it's very realistic. And so I'm trying to work within the restrictions that we have and just see how, okay, so how, if that is the restriction, we know our limits, we know what we have to teach you, and we do have to teach you all of this stuff, but we can also, how far can we go within that? I think that's very interesting. And if we reach a limit where we can see, okay, so it's not enough, we have to do more, then we have to look at, okay, so what do we do then? But I think right now we can still do more. And I think one of the examples I have is that I found out that on the main courses, we were teaching more than we had to. So actually we were teaching 35 or 75 lectures a week, lessons a week. And there is no requirement to do that. And that's not a problem. We want to teach you as much as possible. But what I heard from students was that they were sitting a lot of the time in classroom, but just being taught theory, because we don't have practical education, practical training on the main courses. So there was a problem with the students really wanting to go out, and our way of teaching more than we should, keeping them in class. So I decided to cut back on lessons and instead implement open farm, which was like a way to try and say the farm is open to all students during also school hours, not only at night, but also school hours. You have like an afternoon a week where it's your day just to go into the farm. You can do your own project. You can work in the stables or in the market garden, or you can work in the vegetable fields or with animals. And I think the idea, I don't think we have perfected it yet at all. because it needs to be really structured and people need to really know what to do, and the farm has to be very prepared as to, okay, so now a lot of students are coming, what should they do? But that is in process, and I think that is one of the things that we need to do, is like develop the school in a way that it makes more sense. And so you asked specifically about sustainability. Was that a question?
Yeah, the question was sustainability, but as well like let's say.
Sorry, may
Juan,
I chime in?
please.
Yeah.
I'm Juan. Hi, nice
Hi.
to meet you, Julia. Yeah, not specifically on sustainability, but towards this goal that you said in the presentation, that okay, we wanna teach in order to have a much more biodiverse or sustainable way of doing farming.
Yeah.
But not specifically on sustainability.
Yeah. All right. So I think I'll get to that actually. So I'll just try and go on.
Thank you, Juan.
So I think, yes, thank you, Juan. I think I'm still very much involved in developing organic, like as a whole. I think it's so majorly important what we do from here. I think it's so majorly important what we do with all of agriculture, actually. And right now we really have the opportunity to influence where we are going to go. And so, of course, in the organic, we need to develop, and we need to develop regenerative practices. And when I mean that, I really feel like we should just look to the principles. I think we need to work more with social responsibility also. I think that's been lacking in organic agriculture, and I think it's a key component into making holistic agriculture, is that we really have this perspective also. I talked about Wakelands, which was this little farm that has enterprise stacking in England, and this is it. It's not a very big farm, but it is a very innovative farm. And if you have the chance, you should go there. They have an agroforestry festival every year, which is amazing. And you can rent small huts and live there. Yeah. And I feel like we need to work on the way we perceive food in Denmark, especially. I think a lot of countries are much better at appreciating food and valuing food than we are in Denmark. I just think this number is just mind-blowing. 900,000 tons of food are thrown away every year in Denmark. I do it also. I think a lot of us do it. I go to the grocery store, the market, and I buy the vegetables just in case I need them. So I buy the leeks, and I do this like so the life of a leek. I buy that leek for 5 kroner because why not? It's 5 kroner. And it's been germinated, and the seed beds have been prepared and fertilized and aerated, and there's planting and the weeding and the watering and the harvest and the transport and the sales and the transport, and then the vacation in the bottom of my fridge, and then the garbage can because it gets so old and I forget it. And all of this work going into this one vegetables, I think it's just the way we treat them is. I visited, there's like this high-end restaurant close to the school that's called Moment, and I visited them, and they had this this artwork that was very different on the wall, and I asked them, and they said they had this, it sounded almost like a game where the chefs tried not to throw anything away. So when they got in the leek in the beginning of the week, they like served the best parts, and they boiled it, and then they roasted it, and then they chopped it up, and then they burned it, and then they made a powder out of it, and they tried in every way to just keep getting something out of this leek until the end of the week. They only had like these 3 fibers left, and they like presented it to the owners of the restaurants and said, these are the fibers that we could not use this week. And the owners of the restaurant had some artist make like a piece of art, and they put it on their wall. And I just thought, what if we thought about what we do in that way? What if us as farmers at the school had that sense of our worth, or of our produce worth? That would be like a totally different thing. Then you could actually live from making vegetables, because vegetables are so valuable. So I just think that we need, as a society, to work more, because we're losing vegetable producers in Denmark. There's just been a report showing that vegetables and fruits, we are losing the growers of them in Denmark. Probably because we don't want to pay. That's one of the reasons we don't want to pay what it costs. So I started here at Kalo, and I've been using the first months to make like an analysis of Kalo, because I really know I came in strong with a lot of ideas, and I actually, before I got the job, I made this 10 pages of suggestions as to how to make Kalo better, which was kind of cocky. But then I started here, and I really needed time to like look at, so what is Kalo now? And I saw some problem areas, of course. A lack of resources, like I think both farming staff and teachers were under pressure. They were lacking like flexibilities, and the setup of the farm was also dependent on volunteers, and they were still lacking resources. And there was also lacking a coherence between what the students wanted and what the teachers wanted and what we were actually doing. So both students and teachers requested more participation on the farm, but it was very difficult to accommodate in the way that the farm was set up. The economy of the school was not great. A lot has been saved, and it's been obvious that there were no more places to cut. I couldn't save my way out of the problems. But I could see that the farm has a really low production and a really low sale. And I thought that was one of the potentials that we could work with, because I really couldn't see any way of saving us out of the trouble. It was kind of lacking a strategy. There had been a number of rationalizations at the school, but they've led to kind of decisions that weren't maybe really a strong founded in expertise. So they were like odd ways of rationalizing, which also ties back to the coherence. There wasn't really a coherence in what was cut back and what we really needed. Many central functions are person dependent without really a safety net in the event of someone not being here. And I think the most important problem was that organic farming is the future. So we do know that we need more organic farmers. It is both in Denmark and in the EU, it is goals that we have to have more organic agriculture, which means we need more organic farmers. But people are not going to keep coming here if they don't see that they learn what they really need here. We know that there are going to be other schools, Danish schools teaching organic agriculture, and there is going to be a lot of other schools in the EU teaching organic agriculture. And our position as the best organic agriculture school is dependent on us teaching the best ways of farming, and also keeping up with what is developing, because we are developing new solutions all the time in the innovation center where I sat before. And these ways of farming, we really need to show them here. We need to teach them here if we are to really match the future and what we expect from farmers in the future. So in developing Kalo, I think the most important task for me is to make sure that the education meet your ambitions. Because as I said before, your ambitions are crazy high. I really feel that's the most amazing thing about being here, is that you really, really want to learn. And you really want to learn something that's amazing. A lot of you a lot of the students were telling me when I got here, why don't we have a market garden? We want to learn how to be market gardeners because we don't have a lot of money. We don't have 200 million kroners to go buy a farm when we are finished here. We need to learn how to make a yield on a very small area and to make a high value yield. And then we have to learn how to further add value to that produce in somehow working with it. So what we've done already is that we have implemented, or we have made a market garden, and we're going to work more with that. But that's just like one example of what we really need to do. Another example is that in Denmark now we have decided to take out 400,000 hectares of agricultural land and make it into nature. The problem with that we don't talk a lot about is that it's actually very hard. It's very difficult to make good nature out of former agricultural land. It takes a lot of knowledge and it takes a lot of work. And that work is done by far the best with animals. And we really don't have anyone ready to go make a living as in nature, how do you call it, tending to nature on these areas, on these 400,000 hectares in Denmark. So I think it's obvious that we have to teach you more about how to do that. Because I think a lot of the students from here would think it was a good way of making a living. If we could influence policymakers enough to make it economically sustainable to be that. Dream bigger. And that ties back to, I really don't want to smash dreams. I think we should talk more about how wonderful we think farming is going to be and how wonderful we want it to be, because that's how we make it wonderful. We shouldn't settle for making a worse or a less good life for ourselves as organic farmers than we actually could if we just held on and if we took these ambitions seriously. Actually, it is ambitions. It's not just dreams or blue-eyed ideas of how it should be. It's really a very high ambition as to what life as an organic farmer should be. And I think we should work with that. And I really want to teach more practical stuff. We have a farm that's very broad. Now we don't have pigs anymore, so it's a little less broad, but in return, we have a market garden, so it's broad again. I really want all of the areas that we teach you to be the best example of what you can learn. And that's difficult. It's very, very difficult, because that means that we have to have a teacher that's an expert in everything practical that we have on the farm. I want to make more learning environments. So that could be, for example, agroforestry systems. It could be different ways of co-grazing. It could be different ways of polycultures, and a lot of different ideas as to what we could do. And we really should, as much as possible, to be able to teach you like the future. And of course, we should also engage further in partnerships with like the Innovation Center for Organic Agriculture or SEGES or Organic Denmark, so that we can learn from all of the facilities that they have also. So we don't need to have everything ourselves. There's also a lot of people, farmers making great systems also here in Djursland that we can visit, and we already do. So Kalo is changing. I don't think we've changed that much yet, but maybe that's because I'm just in the middle of it. If you can see it, Alessandro, something must be happening. This is one of the things. This is, I think, the biggest thing that I have changed so far is that my observation was that it was extremely difficult to show you the best practice in every field when we only had one person in charge of everything. So instead of that, I've done something that we're not very used to in the farming community. I have made a series of people who are responsible for each of their field, and no one between them and me. So I am I take care of the financial and the administrative parts, and they concentrate on each of their fields. And they are the expert in each of their fields, and they are responsible for also teaching. So every one of them has goes from both teaching and doing the practical work and teaching the practical work. So I have one responsible for dairy cows, one responsible for sheep, one responsible for a market garden, one responsible for veggie fields, one responsible for other fields, and one responsible for pigs, which we don't have right now because we didn't really have the infrastructure to have pigs. So they were very labor intensive and wasn't really a good example of how to keep pigs. So I think we're going to work on the infrastructure, and then we're going to have pigs again. That's the idea. And the idea is that the education goes through all of these areas. So the students and the volunteers and the students at the school work in all of these fields together with the ones who are responsible for each field. So what I said is that we already came into this, that regarding the curriculum, how close can we get to what we want within the system now? Regarding the structure of Kalo, I want to mix theory and practice better. I want to have also more even and predictable schemes, because that's also some of the feedback I've been getting from students, is that it's difficult to plan a semester because you don't really know what you're going to do when. And I want to have more inclusions on the farm of you guys. So I want the farm to be like, I want you to have ownership of the farm and feel like the farm is yours while you are here. And maybe also even after, I would love to, if we could make like small patches of land where you could get started, and we could make like teaching you after and including you in the farm after you're finished here, and helping you get on your legs as farmers. Hey, that's it.
Amazing.
I'm so sorry I spoke for so long.
No. I'm sorry for you that I make you to talk that long for that long time.
No, it's okay.
Now I hope we have questions. I have one, and I start with it, and then hopefully people have one as well or two. But before I ask you the question, I want to share something. I remember when I was in Portugal and I found out that we were changing our, let's say we were applying for our headmaster.
Yeah.
And I spoke with Alberto that he knew you. And when you get selected, and I start to talk with my contact inside the school, no? And everyone was, let's say, happy about you, but they were a bit worried because of your, the vision that you had, no? What you want to do in Kalo. Yeah. This was around, middle of August. Then when I came in on February, I went to talk personally with most of this person, no? And say, so how is going? And I was really happy to see that they were more happy than before, because they see that you had a lot of expectative and what you want to change, but they could see that you know how to work, how to move it. And because many times, and I'm used to see a lot of this, the dream is really big, but if you don't have a strategy, it's all a dream. So I'm really happy to see this. I want to share with the others as well. And now I have a question. You share a lot of, the future or what you want to change.
Yeah.
I know that it's hard to say like exactly time. How long do you think it could take to make this change that you see now as a dream?
I don't really see a finish line, if I'm being honest, because there is so much that we could do. Like, I know that like the housing for the students is not that great. Like, it would be so wonderful if we could do something to make like renovations or organic ecological building or something, so we could make housing better. But that is like so far out in the future that we really need to like make sure that the economics is sound for a period of years, and we have to prove that we can do it. Mostly I have to prove that I can do this because I have a board looking at me and really watching my every move. How do I do? And especially regarding to money. And so I have to keep proving that this is the right direction, you know, that the students keep on coming, and this is going to be better and better. And then I think when we get there, we're going to start investing in the school more. We're going to be allowed to invest more in the school, and we can develop and one day the regenerative school will say, okay, you are there, we'll close, and you know, we'll merge or something. So I really don't see an end. But like when I heard from a few teachers this week that there were some students that were worried because they didn't know what's going to happen to Kalo because so much is changing. And I went and spoke with the students because I was like, but what is changing? What has changed? What has actually changed? Maybe the feeling has changed a little bit. I hope the soul has not changed, or like the essence of Kalo has not changed. That's not my idea at all, to take anything away from what Kalo is, because Kalo is wonderful. But when I spoke with the students, it wasn't very much. It wasn't as much as I thought. But it's little things all the time, and I'm sure it seems like, because you know Kalo so well, it seems like it's a lot. So I don't really have an answer for you, because I think we're gonna keep on changing. We're gonna keep on growing, but I think we need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Julie. Anyone has question? Please, Rasmus.
Thank you for the inspiring talk.
Thank you.
I want to ask a question related to Juan's question. A lot of the people that are in the school now, and also when I was in basic course, they also wanted, both the more practical stuff and also to change what we actually learn to some stuff that I have not read the curriculum, but I don't get the impression that we would be able to within the curriculum. But so, and I think we could invite the Minister of Education to the school to have us make one course of students with Kalo not following the curriculum, and see how it goes. And we could write him a letter and invite him. But what do you think? Should we for how long should we try to see if the students will get happy outside the curriculum, or should we just try to? Because I think maybe it could also, if we try this thing, maybe it could also help the other farming schools.
Yeah, definitely. Also because it's difficult to keep changing the curriculum in the speed that agriculture is actually developing. So it's hard to keep following this. I don't think I have an answer. I think it would be so interesting to see what we could do actually. But I also want, I'm not holding anything back. I'm thinking to fly. Please fly. I think it would be wonderful and so much fun and so meaningful also. One thing I've been thinking about is that often when we talk about this, well, we're not learning what we want to learn, or we're learning the wrong things. Sometimes it's about not wanting to learn something. It's because you don't want to learn how to have pigs in the way that you have pigs in a big organic production. And I don't think we're not going to be able to like take parts out of there. So it's much easier to put things in then take parts out of the curriculum, right? So we can always add on, and we can just make the days longer and say, okay, so you want to learn market gardening, we can do that. So we just put that on top, right? But if we need to take things out, and so we don't want to have this these hygiene course, why do we have to have that? I don't want to have that, and we can't do that. Yeah, so of course, if we could take things out, there would be more things, more room to put new things in. But I think the discussion is very interesting. Yeah.
Thank you, Erasmus, for the question. Thank you, Julie. Anyone else has something that would like to ask Julie, or anything that I don't know they want to share about the? Because it's almost 8:30, and I promised Julie that I will make her to go to bed or home at least at 8:30 maximum.
Yeah.
Okay. And if it's like this, I wouldn't say something different. Rasmus, what did you see changed? Just a word since when you came back from last basic course. If you need to say something, one thing that you see that has been changed.
I think we are taking seriously as students and listen to and have influence. We have a market garden now. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that makes me so happy, Rasmus. I'm so happy. That's nice. I do really take you seriously. I do. Thank you.
I'll before passing the word to Benjamin, so I jump in on the question, and I want to hear what Benjamin see that is different. When I arrive in, I get shocked because we are in Denmark, and at Kalo, we don't have any more the pigs. And they say, wow, okay. Something's going on. And I love it. Benjamin, you want something to share? What do you see different? I call Benjamin because I know that he's there.
Oh.
Hello, can you hear me?
Hi.
Yes. Benjamin, what do you see different since when you came back?
I think especially the open farm and the more practical thing is amazing and has a big potential. It needs some more organization, I think, and structure. But I think it can be really good in the future. And then I just like that you are so open to listen to our students and want to hear what we want for the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That's amazing. Yeah, I really want. And I actually, like this week and last week, I've been talking with both second main course and first main course about how you're feeling and what's going on. And I think I should have done that just from the beginning, like just from the first week, just go out into the classrooms and talk to you, because it doesn't make sense not to do it. I learned so much about what you want and where you're at and what you're worried about. And I think I'm going to do that from now on, just make like a monthly appearance in your classroom or something. Yeah. I really appreciate you telling me what you're thinking.
Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Julie. I don't know if Nick that is in the call now is the Nick that is at school now, but whilst he gets ready in case, I want to share something else. And of course, when we ask for change and the change comes, there is a bit of craziness. There is a bit of things that are not clear.
Yeah.
And of course, this we have seen this I mean, personally, I've seen this in the school, but this is part of the change. So I'm really happy to see it, but mostly I'm really happy, as Ben said as well, that you are open for the feedback. How they come, you come for it. So it's good that you are open for seeing these things from outside as well.
Yeah.
Nick, are you there? He's not our Nick.
No.
No. Okay. So if no one want to share anything, Rasmus, last one, Rasmus, and then I need to give you back the word for another stuff. So please.
I was interested in what you talked about, the regenerative agricultural school.
Yeah.
Should we collaborate more with them?
Yes.
Learn together? Yeah.
Yeah. Alessandro has already had his clause in them, I think. And I am also in correspondence with them. I had a meeting with them in Copenhagen a few weeks ago. And I think they really want to help us looking at our curriculum and seeing what we can do. So we are talking about collaborating on that. But I think we should do more. Yeah, it's a good idea.
But also students learning, like going to taking a field trip to their school. Or...
No, but maybe Alessandro had an idea about that. You spoke about an idea, right?
Yeah, let's say that there is a few things moving, and this is another thing I want to say as well, that the Julie doors is always open. As usually I'm the person that receives the ideas as well. I think it's important that we bring the ideas with some energy to make it happen. And actually, we are moving as well to talking with Sandra from the Regenerative School, one of the founders of the Regenerative School. And there is, let's say, 2-3 options of how to integrate closer the school. Not the school by itself, but the knowledge that they can bring. So to make happen even more for a foreigner student. So there is something going on, but of course, before we really say what it is we need to make happen, or as well be more sure about it. And there are other, let's say, things that are moving that personal bringing over, like with Chaos Pilot and other stuff. But so many things are moving. And I say Julie's open. Like another thing that happened 2 days ago, 3 days ago, that guy from second main course, Matthew, went to Julie and say, why we don't do the production leader? And it was an idea to do it, and then he stopped it.
Yeah.
And now someone is coming with the energy to push it up, and she's open for it.
Yeah.
So I think it's not what we can do, it's what we guys, we can propose, but bring the energy to make it go on, because she's really moving a lot of stuff. And you, Rasmus, you're doing the same, you bring some ideas, but you go for it.
Yeah.
So many things are happening.
Yeah.
And talking about, I don't know, I see that there is no one, but before, for sure, Julie, thank you so much for this timing. I know that it's late.
No, it's okay. Don't feel bad for me.
And we are here. If please, from you, but as well for us, if you have any idea or question, write or ask. And I want to share now what is the next Kalo Cafe.
Oh yeah,
actually,
wonderful.
Rasmus is on charge of it in some way, or is the voice of it. And please let me see if you can see it. And can you see it?
Yes, yes, wonderful.
And Rasmus, 2 words, 1 minute, please. What we are going to talk about the next Kalo Cafe?
Okay, we created an organic youth movement to combine all the people that wants organic agriculture, the youth people, the young people in Denmark and also internationals. So everything is in English. We started the youth movement to bring us together and to also give the possibility to people to have a political impact. So we are part of Organic Denmark. That does all these things that Julia has talked about. And so we are in the beginning phase and want to figure out how we can do all these things and what people want. Yeah, so that is what we will talk about.
Thank you, Rasmus.
The 18th of June.
I just want to say something, because I come from outside Denmark, and I've been to a few meetings that we talk about this foundation, not this, let's say, organization, this and the other, and I don't understand anything. So I will make sure, for who comes, that we'll try to draw in some way a mind map how these things are moving. So it's going to be practical, but as well we can see as well the potential of what can happen in a small country like Denmark is, but it can be a big example for Europe. So it's like putting the first small seed, but in a bigger basket, I would say. So next, Wednesday 18th of June, and it's going to be, always around an hour and a half or 2 hours for who want to join us. Thank you, Rasmus, for this energy as well. And nothing. Julie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All of you guys. We are going for the next phase if we want. So now I stop here the registration.